It's just a baseball, Zoe Walker said to her brother Zach. You have lots of signed baseballs. Zach and Zoe Walker were 8, and they were twins. They didn't look exactly alike, but they did think a lot alike. They just didn't always think exactly alike. Like right now, for instance. They were eating breakfast at the kitchen table before school. Zach knew his sister was both right and wrong. He did have a lot of signed baseballs. That much was true. Some were gifts from his parents. Some he had gotten signed by professional baseball players. Zach and Zoe's father, Danny, worked as a sports reporter on TV. Often he would take Zach and Zoe to special events where they got to meet the players face to face. But the ball they were talking about now was different from the others. Zach loved that ball more than the rest, and he was sure Zoe knew it. The twins loved competing against each other in almost everything. In fact, Zoe even made talking a competition. She seemed to be doing it now. It's not just another ball, Zach said. You know it's the ball Will Hanley hit for a home run, the ball I caught. It had happened a couple of weeks before. Their parents took Zach and Zoe to a game at Fenway Park. Zach's favorite player, Will Hanley, was playing. His team only visited Boston once each season. The family all sat in the monster seats at Fenway. The monster seats are on top of the famous wall in left field called the Green Monster. Looking down at the field from their seats, Zach couldn't believe how small everything looked. It was almost as if they were watching a game in their backyard. I know Will Hanley is your favorite baseball player, Zoe said, and I know why. He's smaller than just about everybody in Major League Baseball, but he plays big, same as you. And he's a second baseman, same as me, Zach added as he spooned cereal into his mouth. But even though he's your favorite player, and even though you caught that home run ball, Zoe said, it's still just a ball. She smiled to herself, like she'd just won the argument. Zach glanced over at their mom, who was grinning from across the kitchen. She pointed to her watch, which meant it was almost time to walk to the corner to catch their school bus. You know what I always tell you, their mom said. It's not the souvenirs that matter, it's the memories that go with them. But that's the thing, Zach said. This ball is part of my memory. The twins' dad, Danny Walker, had been a star basketball player. He started playing when he was Zach and Zoe's age. Then he went on to play in high school and college. He even played a few years in the NBA, but he hurt his knee and had to retire early. He was the smallest player in every game he ever played in his life. Zach and Zoe were also small for their age, and Danny always made sure to tell them size is important, just not in the way they thought. It's how big you play that really matters. Now he worked as a sports reporter on TV. Their mom said he was just as good at doing that as he'd been at everything else in his life. When he bought the family tickets in the monster seats, he'd had no idea it would turn into a monster day for Zach. In the first inning, Will Hanley hit the ball so far and so high, it cleared the top of the wall and ended up in Zach's glove. Everyone in their section cheered. After the game, Zach and his dad waited in the parking lot with a crowd of other fans. That's where Will Hanley and the players on the visiting team would board their bus. Zach knew his dad had special connections as a TV reporter. He could get them into the clubhouse if he wanted. But Zach also knew his dad didn't think it was right for reporters to ask for autographs, even if the autograph was for one of their kids. If you want Will Hanley's autograph, you'll have to wait like everyone else, Danny said to Zach after the game. For as long as Zach and Zoe could remember, their dad had taught them to always do the right thing, whether it had to do with sports or anything else in their lives. Even if all they wanted was to get a baseball signed by their favorite player, they had to do it the fair way. So Zach waited with the other kids on the street that ran along the first base side of Fenway Park. Slowly, he and his dad worked their way to the front of the crowd, happy that the much bigger crowd was waiting up the block where the Red Sox players parked their cars. Finally, Will Hanley walked out of the park wearing his normal clothes. Somehow he